guys. So good to see you guys. So good to see you. Hey. Alright, yeah. Oh, take me out. Take me out. Good morning. Good morning. Alright, good morning. Alright, how you guys doing today? Alright. Man. That's better. It's better to be alive, right? I mean, I don't know. I've never been dead before. Not that I remember. But it's always better to be alive, I feel like. And it's better to act alive. You ever play Little League and you're out in the outfield and your coach or your parents or somebody's yelling come on, look alive, look alive, look alive. Let's hear some chatter. What does that even mean? And they're like, let's hear some chatter. That to me, if you're hardcore Little League people and you have your kids yelling, hey, batter, 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 I've never understood that. I'm sorry. I've never understood that. Yeah, that's what they say. I don't know. It's funny though. Better to look alive. It's better to look alive. Man, it always takes us a little while to get going, it seems like. Everybody's here and then way over here, nobody's here. Chance and Wes caused a scene, so everybody's scared to sit in the front and the middle this week. So, uh-oh. Yeah. Now I feel like I'm standing in front of a panel. I wanted to call this message the F-bomb, but I changed my mind. And we're just going to call it the F-word. Because I may do a series on this whole thing, and we may call that the F-bomb. We may do a few weeks on this. And the F-word is called forgiveness. Because that's a rough one. I never struggle with forgiveness. Just so you know, all these messages are for you. They're not for me at all. I rarely relate to any of it. So, just so you know. I never get mad when someone cuts me off in traffic. I never kind of hope that they would, accidentally have a wreck or get a ticket. I don't want them to get hurt in the wreck. I just think, it'd be all right if they just learn their lesson a little bit, right? I never get mad because someone else wasn't doing their job, so I have to do their job for them. I never get mad at that. Yeah. I'm trying to think. Nothing else I get mad at. I don't get mad when my kids don't cooperate or nothing. I don't get frustrated at all. Yeah. I don't get mad when people lie to me. I don't get mad when people say, hey, we're going here, and then I get there and they didn't go there. I actually get mad about that one a little bit. Golly. Anything else you get mad at or don't get mad at, when someone does something? What is it about we want them to get theirs? Slow in the... Oh my gosh. I'll be honest, I was struggling with that last night. Okay, I got shot a little bit yesterday. I got shot a little bit. Can you believe that? I made it. A little shot. I went dove hunting yesterday. I haven't been hunting Kinsley had not been... We weren't even pregnant with Kinsley yet last time I was hunting. I'm not sure. So it's been a good at least 10 years since I've hunted or shot or anything. And So my dad paid for me and him and my brother and my dad's brother, my uncle, to go on this dove hunting trip. And so we went to this place. I can't even tell you exactly where it was because I slept on the way down there, and so I'm not even sure where we were. I know it took us about 3 hours to get there, 2.5 hours, I think, to get there, something like that. I don't know. Anyway, I was asleep. And so we're in this field, and we were under the impression that we had paid for this, and it was just going to be us. And there was like 40 other people there in this field, and it was like, I don't know. I wasn't comfortable with it because I don't trust people, and I definitely don't trust people with guns, especially these days. It's like it's like trusting a teenager with a car. Like you don't know what's happening. And anyway, so there was 2 fields, and there was like this, I don't know what it was called, like this big thick brush area, and a thicket. Yeah, we'll call it a thicket. And we had our backs against it, facing one way across this field, and then there was another group doing the same thing with their backs. So we were they were hunting one field, we were hunting the other field, and we had our backs toward each other. And at one point, I remember turning around just in time to feel this whatever all over me. And it got me on the head a little bit, it got me on the arm a little bit, and it got me across the chest a little bit. And it drew blood. I mean, it was enough to draw blood. It wasn't just like sprinkled on, like it got me a little bit. But it wasn't like, but that was a little bit too close for my comfort. So I was yelling. I wanted to know who took the shot. Who's shooting across this? Because we were told very clearly, you don't shoot across that, obviously. And anyway, so I was a little mad. But anyway, back to, I'm sorry, I got way off that. Went hunting yesterday, so on the way back, I was ready to get back. I had some things I had to get ready for today. I had other things I had to take care of and get done, and I was ready to get back, and my uncle was driving, and he got behind this car, and of course, my uncle, it's a bigger sized truck, and this car was in the fast lane, like passing like an 18-wheeler, and this car was like taking this sweet, lovely time. And I'm thinking, about 30 minutes into it, I thought, we can push this car out of the way. Like, this truck is big enough, we can push this car out of the way. Like, and I would be willing to bet that the people behind us will take our side. And then we can get home a little faster, maybe like by a minute. But a minute can mean a big deal, sometimes. Anyway, enough of that. We're going to be reading today in Matthew 18, and we're going to be talking about this parable, and we're going to be talking about forgiveness, but we're going to be talking about more of the issue that comes along with the unforgiveness, but forgiveness is a big part of that, so that's where we're going to be today. So if you want to turn in your Bible or in your smartphone, or whatever it is you have, to Matthew 18. We're going to start in 23. I guess we'll start in 23. But and we'll read through this real quick. And like I said, my reading is terrible. I have a hard time seeing this print, so bear with me. Read it yourself. Read it out loud. Read on the screen, however you want to do it. Anyway, just try to pretend that I'm reading it decent. It says, therefore, the kingdom of heaven can be compared to a king who decided to bring his accounts up to date with his servants who had borrowed money from him. Has anybody ever borrowed money before? Has anybody ever struggled with paying it back? Okay, me too. Anybody in here have student loans? I'm pretty sure. Wow. I thought I was doing bad at like 14. See, I didn't even finish, so I got lucky. I didn't fall in the trap. Just kidding. Don't quit. It's not a good excuse. Anyway. In the process, one of his, I have a hard time saying this word, debtors. Debtors? Well, okay, all right, debtors. See, okay, so I'm glad I have the English teachers right here. I don't like saying that word. It's always been hard for me to say. Debtors, whatever. Was brought in who owed him millions of dollars. Okay, some of your Bibles are going to say like 10,000 talents. Okay, a talent is worth about 20 years of a day wage. Does that make sense? So we're talking like 20 years of a wage, and like that's a talent. And he owed 10,000 talents. Okay, so like, okay, when Jesus is saying this, okay, when he's talking about this, he says like he owed him like a cajillion dollars. Okay, it's like a number that just it's just out there. Does that make sense? Like when Jesus is saying that, I need you to understand. Like he's not saying like this is an amount that is never going to get paid. Like student loans. Like like it's never. I mean, it's not even close. Like this guy will be lucky to even pay a fraction of the interest of this loan. I mean, he's never going to get this paid off. Okay, does that make sense? Like this is a huge, I don't know, what is your word for like a cajillion or squillion or like, I like the word squillion because if you really owed that, like I'd be squealing. It'd be rough. I'd have a hard time breathing. I get anxious over the stuff that I owe now. Like, I mean, I don't even owe that much. And just over little things like I can't imagine knowing. Okay. All right, so I'm going to back up just so you understand that. So in the process, one of his debtors, there we go, was brought in who owed him, we'll just say millions, trillions, cajillions of dollars, okay? He couldn't pay, so his master ordered that he be sold, along with his wife, his children, and everything he owned, to pay the debt. But the man fell down before his master and begged him, please, please be patient with me, and I'll pay it all. Then his master was filled with pity for him, and he released him and forgave his debt. But when the man left the king, he went out to a fellow servant who owed him a few denarii. I'm going to explain this. A denarius is like a day's wage. Okay? So, like, this is an amount, a small amount. This is like a fraction. A small fraction of what this other guy owed. Like, this is like, this is payable. Okay? Like, this is nothing. This should be nothing compared to what this other guy owed, okay? Let me see, where was that? But the man left the king and he went out to a fellow servant who owed him, we'll just say a few $1,000s. This is actually, I would say probably a few $100s or so. I don't know. He grabbed him by the throat and demanded instant payment. His fellow servant fell down before him and begged for a little more time. Be patient with me and I'll pay it, he pleaded. But his creditor wouldn't wait. He had the man arrested, put in prison until the debt could be paid in full. When some of the other servants saw this, they were very upset. They went to the king and told him everything that had happened. Then the king called in the man he had forgiven the tremendous debt because you pleaded with me. Oh, well, I skipped the line. Forgiven and said, you evil servant, I forgave you, and this lot. And the tremendous debt because you pleaded with me. Shouldn't you have mercy on your fellow servant, just as I had mercy on you? Then the angry king sent the man to prison to be tortured until he had paid his entire debt. Now, I found this parable extremely interesting, because it describes, how does it start out? It says, therefore the kingdom of heaven can be compared to. Like when Jesus starts talking here, he's telling this is what the kingdom of heaven can be compared to. This is what it can look like. Okay? Let's get into it a little bit more. He says, hang on, let me. Okay, you're like, Jesus is painting a picture here. He's showing us this is it. This is what it's like. And it makes perfect sense to me. And it didn't make perfect sense to me before, but it makes perfect sense to me now. Especially the end of it when he starts talking about he had the dude tortured. Okay, we'll get to that. So we're going to read through this again. It said, therefore the kingdom of heaven can be compared to a king who decided to bring his accounts up to date with servants who had borrowed money from him. In the process, one of his debtors was brought in who owed him cajillions of dollars. He couldn't pay, so his master ordered that he be sold along with his wife, his children, and everything he owned to pay the debt. But the man fell down before his master and begged him, please be patient with me. Please be patient with me and I'll pay it back. I promise. If you'll give me just a few more days, I promise. I promise. A few more months, a few more weeks, I promise I'll pay it back. I'll pay it back. Then his master was filled with pity for him and he released him and forgave his debt. That's how it went down for me. That's how it went down for you. That's how it went down for the person next to you. That's how it went down for the person in the slow car in front of us. Jesus paid a debt that he didn't owe because we had a debt that we couldn't pay. And he let him go. But when the man left, he went to a fellow servant who owed him a few $1,000s. He grabbed him by the throat and demanded instant payment. His fellow servant fell down before him and begged for a little more time. Be patient with me, and I'll pay it. He pleaded, but his creditor wouldn't wait. He had the man arrested and put in prison until the debt could be paid. Isn't it funny how the guy walks into the king's court begging for mercy, but then steps out on Monday and forgets about everything that he was just forgiven, and he wants this dude that makes this petty offense to pay. I find that amazing because we do it every day. That's why I wanted to call this the F-bomb, the F word. Forgiveness, it's killing us. It's killing our Christianity. It's killing what we believe. Listen, if you don't believe in the gospel and if you don't believe that Jesus died and Jesus paid our debt, it's okay. You can go and get back at anyone you want. You can make that person pay. Go out and get even. Go out and do whatever it is you feel like they deserve for you to get even. We have that option. We have that choice. We can go out and make them pay. When someone hurts you, come up with a plan that you can hurt them back so bad that they'll never want to hurt you again. We can be that guy. This guy completely missed it. And we can be that. That sounds crazy, right? It sounds crazy. It sounds crazy. Why would it, no. You don't just go out and get even and all that. We do it every day. We do it in our hearts every day. In my mind last night, I was choking this slow car in front of me. I was choking that dude. I was ready to just run him off the road. And I wasn't even driving. I just needed to get somewhere. I find it amazing how quick we forget as soon as we step out of the courtyard of the King that we also are forgiven a debt that we could never pay. There's debt that we could never pay that was paid for us, but yet we want the slightest little thing paid back. We want them to get what they deserve. But when the man left, when he left the king, he went to a fellow servant who owed him a few $1,000s. He grabbed him by the throat. He demanded instant payment. His fellow servant fell down before him and begged him for a little more time. "Be patient with me, and I'll pay it," he pleaded. But his creditor wouldn't wait. He had the man arrested and put in prison until the debt could be paid in full. When some of the other servants saw this, they were very upset. They went to the king and told him that everything that had happened. Then the king called in the man he had forgiven and said, "You evil servant, I forgave you that tremendous debt because you pleaded with me. Shouldn't you have mercy on your fellow servant, just as I had mercy on you?" And the angry king sent the man to prison to be tortured until he had paid his entire debt. We come in all the time and we think that we're entitled. We come in all the time. Here's the thing. The gospel isn't just for people who don't believe or don't know. The gospel needs to be preached to us, possibly more than the ones outside. Because we come in here and we get offended and we get ticked off and we get mad, and guess what? I'm going to show them. I'm going to show them. They didn't want to do it my way. Guess what? I'm going to watch it fail, and I'm going to be there to clap it on. We take the smallest little offense inside the church and we let it get inside of us, and we let it bake, and we let it stir, and we let it just contaminate everything inside of us. And then we get mad and we say, "You know what? I'm not going to that church anymore. I'm going down the street. I'm going down here." And then we start spreading rumors. Then we start talking it up. We want to say all the things, all the bad things. Then we want to get our friends on our side so they'll believe all that. We want to and we take it as far as we can run with it. And the whole time we're ticked off and we're mad at them, and they didn't even realize anything happened. The whole time that offense, that frustration, that ticked off whatever you want to call it, that it just eats us alive. Because we walked into the court under the king, we begged for mercy, we got our mercy, we got our grace, we got our forgiveness, and we walked out and we did what? We demanded pay. We demanded our payback. We demanded what they owed us. We demanded. And who's the one that gets tortured? You ever be so mad at someone and it just eats on you all day long? Something happened early in the morning at work or something, and it just gets under your skin, and the next thing you know, your day has went down the toilet so far. And you find yourself just frustrated and furious all day long, and the slightest little thing just sets you off. and we can't figure out why? That's the part where we decide we'd rather take that road into torture than forgiveness. Forgiveness is that easy. See, Jesus is painting a great picture here. He's not talking about how to forgive. He's talking about why to forgive. See, we worry a lot about the how to forgive, and we forget about the why we forgive. See, we've already been forgiven a debt that we can't pay. Jesus prayed 3 times to have that cup taken. He would have took your volunteer. He would have let you volunteer. I bet. He knew what was coming. Wasn't nobody volunteering for that. We say we would now, but we wouldn't. We wouldn't. Look at Peter. He was ready to fight. He cut some dude's ear off. But when it came down to it, guess what? He ran. Not only that, but he denied him 3 times before the rooster even crowed. We come in the church all the time. We come in the church, in here. Not just this building. We do it down the road. We do it wherever. We do it whatever church we've been in. And we get offended. I've been in a church and left. A couple of times. Ticked off. They probably didn't even know the difference. And that makes me mad even more. Because I want them to get theirs. They need to pay. They need to freaking pay. Dang it. Or we can start seeking out the forgiveness. And we can ask God to forgive us. And we can start thinking, we can start giving thanks for God, for Jesus forgiving us, to paying that debt that we couldn't owe. And guess what? When we start giving thanks and we start talking to God about forgiveness, He's going to show you how if you're not sure how. Look, like I've got people that have wronged me before, big time. And I've had a hard time. Like, I don't know how to forgive them. I don't know how to be like, oh, it's okay. You know, you ruined my life. I don't care. It's all right. No big deal. I'm good. I'm good. It's good. It's all right. I got it. I get it. Sometimes it's hard to forgive somebody. There's times when things get bad and it's hard to forgive somebody. But why is it so hard to have forgiveness for the small offenses, for the small debts, for the small things that really won't make a difference? The little ones that just, it really didn't matter to begin with. Why does it matter now? Why is it ruining my day? We hold on to those small offenses, those little offenses, and we are the ones who become tortured. We are the ones. When we were just forgiven cajillions of dollars, we want our $10. We would rather waste and spend all of our energy and effort to get that $10 back when we've got so much more. That $10 really had very little to do with everything else. But we have in our minds that they got to get theirs because we deserve more. It's a selfish, greedy act, in my opinion, the unforgiveness. And I'm guilty. So it's not always about how to forgive. It's about why. Why do we forgive? Why is forgiveness so important? It's the essence of the gospel. It's the essence of the gospel. It's the reason Jesus came and died. So we could be forgiven. So that debt that we owed could be paid. I mean, it's like owing that whatever crazy amount on student loans and someone saying, you know what? Don't worry about it. It's an amount we can't pay back. It's an amount that we would struggle to pay back just part of the interest. And them saying, don't worry about it. Hey, we got it. We understand. And then us turning out and going outside and getting mad because the person we gave them $10 forgot to pay us back. And it's not about money. It's not just about money. It's about mercy. It's that grace. It's that when that car pulls in front of you, go ahead. Got it. Just go ahead. Yeah. Yeah. The good luck sign. I was on 20 one time, and I was headed this way coming. I think I had just passed like the TA truck stop or whatever, and I was coming this way, and this car, like, I mean, flew past me, driving crazy, just flew past me, and for a second I felt, and then I was like, nah, just let it go. It's whatever, you know. And it wasn't long after that I got over after he had just gotten out of sight, and I got over the hill, and there he was on the side of the road with the cop behind him. And I thought, oh yeah. Ha ha, sucker. But I almost got up right behind him because I had a point to prove. But God's point was better than mine. Because God was actually proving a point to me, not to him. He just used the guy to prove it to me. We've got to let go of the little things. We've got to stop getting offended over every little thing. I'm not talking about the stuff that's going on outside of the world. I'm talking about the stuff that goes on in here. Inside these walls, inside these doors. We've got to stop letting the littlest things get under our skin. All it's doing is getting inside like a weed and spreading and contaminating the peace and the joy and the love and everything else that's in there. And it turns to bitterness. It turns to more offense. It turns to hate. And it turns to ticked off. And it turns to offended over every little thing. And then it turns into that emotional explosion that we talked about a couple of weeks ago with Martha, when she just went off. You remember that? She was slamming the doors and acting a fool and just like huffing and puffing and all that. Just yells at Jesus. That's one thing I'm glad I wasn't there for. She just comes in there and yells at Jesus. What has gotten into you? But we do it all the time. We don't even realize it. We're the ones that are tortured when it comes to unforgiveness. It's us. And it's that simple. I know some of it may be easier said than done. I get it. But that's why forgiveness is so important. It's the essence of the gospel. We're going to get to go to lunch early today, because I just ran out. But that's it. That's all we got to do is forgive. Give a little bit of grace. Okay? I'm going to need it sometimes. A lot of times. I'm going to need it. Look, your kids may not do exactly what you want them to do every time. So torture. No, I'm just kidding. Choke them until. No, don't do that. I forgot this is being recorded. Don't choke your kids. Don't choke your kids. Or maybe learn how to coach them through whatever it is. Or maybe give them just a little bit of grace. There's times I'm wondering why my parents let me live. I mean, looking back now, at the time, they were stupid. They didn't know. But now looking back, I'm like, jeez. That time I said I was running away, why didn't they just let me go? We were talking about that earlier. Is Brandis in here? She said one time, she's going to hate me. She said one time she said she was going to run away, and she said her mom helped her pack the bag. That's hilarious. I remember I was going to run away one time, and I remember when I was like maybe 100 yards down the street, and my dad pulled up, and he whooped me so bad. Yeah. Boy. Anyway. Forgiveness is where it's at. It's an F word. It's an F word because it's a hard one. Forgiveness ain't easy. There's a big reason why we need to give it. Because we didn't deserve the forgiveness that we got. So maybe we should give a little bit more. You get what you give, right? On that forgiveness thing. All right? There's nothing we could ever do. You're not going to be able to live right enough, okay? You're not going to be able to forgive enough. You're not going to be able to have enough grace and all that to compare to what Jesus forgave you of, okay? Forgave us of. Do we understand that? I know, Sam lives a little bit more perfect than everybody else. I understand that. Anyway, so I'm just playing. All right, let's forgive. Can we just forgive a little bit more? It's okay if the Baptists beat us to lunch. It's okay. Well, it'll be all right. We'll make it. We'll live. We'll forgive them. All right. I'll pray over us real quick, and then we'll go. We'll get out of here.